Hi, I'm Robert Preece, and welcome to Art Design Cafe and ADC Investigations. I come from the contemporary art and design world, as well as media communications and corporate communications. I'm a contributing editor of Sculpture Magazine for 27 years now, and that's out of America. And I've published about 300 to 400 interviews of contemporary artists and designers. I'm originally from America, and I have been based in Europe for 28 years. Sometimes life takes you in unexpected directions. In 2020, I became a US Nazi era historian. If you asked me 5 years earlier, or if you said to me, in 5 years you're going to become a Nazi era historian, I would have told you you were absolutely crazy. But something happened. About after 2017, I found out that a famous contemporary art collector based her work down the street, more or less, in the town, post-industrial town where I grew up, Meriden, Connecticut. And I became very interested in the work. And I unearthed a significant project from 1947 to 52 called Painting Toward Architecture. It dealt with art design crossovers, and which is actually was an interest of mine. So I spent a lot of time unearthing it. I was a visiting researcher at TU Delft, which is ranked two or three or four globally for architecture. And my colleague was also into art design crossovers. When the faculty assessed it, this is the historical part, the question was, why don't we know about this project? It's that good. So then in 2019, a book came out called Tremaine Houses by Volker Welter. And there's a chapter on painting toward architecture, and he generously referenced my archival work for it. So the book's coming out, and I'm kind of looking at that. But then something came out in an earlier section, and I will read it to you. Emily Hall Tremaine, who I'm talking about, she had been in a nasty divorce fight in 1940 to 41. And this was one of the allegations against her. I'll read it to you. The most compromising charge, other than a possible Riefenstahl, that's Leni Riefenstahl, visit to or even stay at the house is confirmed. It is confirmed. On, yeah. Okay, he says possible. Emily admitted it. She says that she met her for an hour, and there's some press reporting and other things with that. Came out later, developing discourse. On 8 April 1940, the Duke of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, a member of the British royal family, itself of German origin, and a well-known earlier and fierce supporter of Hitler, visited Brunninghausen. That was the house that she had. In honor of the Duke, Emily Spreckels, later Emily Hall Tremaine, guided a tour of the most beautiful estates and gardens of Santa Barbara. A, quote, cocktail party in Montecito by her and her second husband followed at Brunninghausen, which attracted approximately 50 guests. All right, so this is an allegation against Emily Hall Tremaine, previously Spreckels. So I didn't really know a lot about Nazi. I mean, it all happened in Europe, right? And, maybe there was some working class oriented things in America, but not that big, right? Well, I learned there was a lot more. So I searched the name, Duke of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, and I found a YouTube video, and it's in the list. And it says, well, I'll let you see it. It's very incredibly disturbing about what the man was associated with. And the effect on me was that I don't think I was able to do anything for 2 or 3 days. It was that shocking and, confusing. And, what was going on in California. So these are disturbing charges, if you will. So but I found out later that Captain Ellis Zacharias, who was sort of the big Nazi hunter at the time, FBI wasn't paying attention, And so he was, and he was Jewish. U.S. Naval Intel was on this beat, and that after all this stuff, that Emily was seen with other people around her socializing with him publicly, and he was a big man. So to be seen with a accused Nazi was not something that you can imagine he'd want to be seen in, and even staying there, staying with her sister and her brother-in-law. So that was an incredible shock. And looking back, that is when I became a U.S. Nazi era historian, focused on the social set and business. There was the forgive and forget period after World War II, and a lot of this fell into that. And a lot of it's coming out now. And as you can imagine, it makes some people uncomfortable. So you have the videos I've put out so far. This is August 2006. You'll also see links on the page, and I suggest you look at them. They focus a lot on Emily Hall Tremaine and Philip Johnson, who aspired to be the American Hitler in 3334 out of the Museum of Modern Art. Now, if you think this is nonsense, like I did, frankly, check out his declassified FBI file. It's kind of all previewed there, but there's still a lot to learn about Philip Johnson. I also suggest you look at the link to the articles at Armed Forces Press. So, for example, that includes the Frome murders. Nancy and Hazel Frome were killed viciously, and that's an unsolved case out of near El Paso, Texas. There are questions about Mount Vernon. Yes. Why was George Washington brought into these Nazi things for it? So there's an article about this Duke with these horrific associations visited there, and it was on their website. So you'll see that I kind of approached them and how they reacted. What I've learned since is that Leni Riefenstahl was also there. And also I learned, if you know a little bit about Henry Ford, which if you're on this page you probably do, that he was deeply involved with Mount Vernon. So we've got 3 already. So there are some questions, and it really should be looked into and sorted out and put forward. The site has done research, and there's even a tour related to slavery on the site, and this needs to be done as well. It's what you can imagine. All right, what I suspect is going on with that, or went on with that, is that it was part of for visiting Nazi officials. You want to show sort of like a cultural appreciation, if you will. So you go to Mount Vernon for that. Next up with this is I have a focus on in video around Emily, but also more at Armed Forces Press about the Duke of Saxe-Coburg's tour of America. He toured the country in 34 and then in 40 after the European War had started. And hundreds of socialites across America attended these events. So I'm trying to find out who they were. Also, there is a call for the San Francisco District U.S. Naval Intelligence to be declassified the Nazi-era files. It is 2026, and the files for the Nazi era, think about it, German officials in San Francisco and their American friends is classified. This raises serious questions. It's not supposed to be, I was told by the archivist. Who has kept this classified and why? And so that gives you kind of an introduction of how I got into this for that. If you find this content informative, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you like, donations are appreciated to advance the research. Thank you.